Thanks for joining me on the Peace and Parenting podcast. I'm so glad you're here.
Welcome back to the Peace and Parenting podcast. I am so glad you're here. I wanted to read one of these amazing reviews from one of our listeners. She said, absolutely life-changing. I discovered this podcast a few weeks ago and started listening from the beginning. I already knew a lot about gentle parenting and thought I'd just be listening for fun. Little did I know how much I'd learn. I take time every day while cooking dinner to listen to the episode, and it's the best self-care I could ask for as it helps me go into the nighttime routine with so much more strength and confidence. I feel such a shift in my relationship with my kids in only a few short weeks. It's really all about connection. Thank you, Peace and Parenting, for all you do. Thank you so much, Maddie, Taryn Shine. I really appreciate it. I so love hearing the positive feedback about the podcast, because it is my sweet little passion project. And, I started it with my partner, Gemma, back in 2019 and during COVID. And we started it I started out of my closet. And I think she did too, because it was the only place we could get away from our kids and get some peace and quiet. So it's come a long way. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Okay, I'm going to talk about some mindsets that I believe need to change in parenting. There's one mindset that is interesting to me. It's if we don't punish behavior, then we are condoning it. If we don't punish behavior, then we're condoning it. And I don't necessarily believe that's true. And I don't know why we think that is. If I don't punish my child for hitting or kicking or biting, does that mean I believe that they can kick or hit or bite? And am I telling them, oh yes, kick, hit, bite, do those things, just because I don't punish them? And I don't know why this is a, conventional, traditional parenting ideology that is thought of as truth, because it isn't truth. It's just a thought. It's just somebody's conjecture. It's just someone's lens. And I think that it leads us to believe that children are inherently, bad, that they don't want to do the right thing, and that they're biting or hitting or kicking or whatever the behavior is because they are not good. And can we believe that they are actually great people inside, and that no child wants to hit or kick or bite somebody else? They really don't want to do those things. And that punishing them doesn't help them not do it. And not punishing them doesn't tell them that, yeah, go ahead, hit, kick, or bite. Because how many children are punished when they've hit, kick, or bit, and they still end up hitting and biting and kicking? So does it actually work? And we could say the same is true, right? If you punish them, then you're telling them that behavior is okay, because that it does often promote the behavior. So if we think about it very logically, and we really think about punishments, what do? They might motivate by fear. They might make a child feel worse about themselves. They really tell the child that they are bad, that a child is bad. And some people will say, well, no, I tell them that the behavior, I don't like their hitting or kicking at, but I love them still. But does a child see it that way? Or do they see themselves as bad because they've been punished, because they've hit, kicked, or bit? So that's one ideology that I think really needs to change. And another one is that kids are doing X, Y, or Z on purpose. They're doing it on purpose. I don't believe that either. I don't think a child is doing it on purpose to be mean. And people will say, well, it's attention seeking or connection seeking or whatever. But if that is true, if they are connection seeking by hitting, biting, or kicking, and they're doing that on purpose to get attention and connection, they're really doing it to get an unmet need met. And so if that's true, they're trying to get that unmet need met, is it that they're doing it on purpose, or they're doing it to try to get themselves to feel better, to help themselves feel better? And is that on purpose, or is that more motivated by their needs, their internal needs? And we can really analyze that piece and really understand that children do things to get their needs met. And they might go to extremes if they're not getting their needs met without the extremes. They might feel like they need to go to the extremes to get their needs met. So if we can meet them with connection when they display these behaviors of hitting or kicking or biting, as opposed to coming to them with punishment, are we fulfilling their need then for them? And will they not need to hit, kick, or bite in order to get the connection or affection or whatever it is they're looking for? And then will the hitting, the kicking, and the biting start to dissipate? And that's what we see. Okay, here's another one. Kids don't know what they have done is wrong. That's a myth too. When a kid does something wrong, they know it's wrong for the most part. Let's say kids over 2 years old. Maybe 1-year-olds, they might need a little, but we don't need to come down harshly on 1-year-olds. We don't need to come down harshly on anybody. We can use play for those kind of like corrections where we might, like the pulling the dog's tail at 1 year old. Like some of them, they don't really understand what they're doing, but we can come with play and affection and connection for them, and it will help them learn what's right and wrong. Now, let's say kids over 2, for the most part, know what's right and wrong. They know if they're not supposed to hit or kick or bite or be mean. And there's a conventional wisdom out there that says the kid's doing it because they don't know any better. And we have to teach them what's better by punishing them. So if we give them a consequence or punishment for the behavior that they have displayed, then we're teaching them that it's not the right behavior because they don't know. I'd venture to guess 9 out of 10 times when a child does something wrong, even ourselves, when you do something wrong, you know it's wrong. Our kids know it's wrong. They're smart. We don't give them enough credit. They knew it was wrong, but the conventional wisdom says, then why did they do it? Well, they did it because they're dysregulated. They're not doing well. They're disconnected. They made a mistake. There's a big difference between making a mistake and doing something because you actually are malicious, right? And maybe maybe you are malicious. Maybe a kid is malicious and hitting somebody, but is it a retaliation for something that was done to them, earlier that day? And is that for no reason? And is that because they don't know that it's bad, or that they just let their anger and their resentment and their dysregulation get to them so badly that they lashed out? But they know it's wrong. They really do know it's wrong. And so there's no reason to punish them in those moments. Now, what I see the similarity is with all of these conventional wisdoms is that they don't believe in the goodness of a child. They don't give a child the benefit of the doubt. However, if you're a parent or an adult, you're given the benefit of the doubt. You're not punished if you lash out at somebody, if you yell at your spouse. If you yell at your spouse, are you punished? No. And do you not know that it's wrong? Of course you know it's wrong. And what do you need to help, do better next time? You need empathy. You need understanding. You need communication with your person. We need to know why you yelled. Did you yell because they yelled at you yesterday? Did you yell because they were being unkind? Like, what's the whole story here? But do you need a punishment? I don't think you do. But these conventional ideas tell us that this is why punishments are helpful. This is why people use punishments. This is why punishments are so prevalent, is because of these wisdoms that we believe are the truth. When in actuality, they're not wisdom. They're just antiquated thoughts on parenting that need to be thrown out the door as far as I'm concerned. And what needs to be replaced with that is the mindset that we trust our children, that we love our children, that they are good and right, and they're trying their very, very best to do the right thing. I think also what happens is when we start to think negatively of kids, so if we adopt these conventional wisdoms, then we start having this negative thought process around our kids, and it kind of hardens us to them. And it makes our interactions become more negative because they have this negative lens around it. And, it's so interesting. I have a lot of strong-willed, sweet, lovely kids in our community, and we get a lot of parents who have these kids. I have that kid. They're they are my favorite type of child. First of all, I've spent my career trying to understand them because of my sweet Esme. And I just adore their spirit, that they will not be shut down, and good for them. And so when I meet with clients or people in our community and I hear about these hard stories, we have a little boy that likes to antagonize the animals a lot. And he wants more connection. He wants more attention. And he's found a way to get it in a negative way. But I adore him. The stories about him and the way he interacts with people and just how vibrant and alive he is. I love these harder kids, quote unquote harder. I don't think they're harder anymore. I think they're actually easier if you can reframe them. But these kids who are not going to sacrifice themselves for other people, I love these kids. And when I say that to clients, I'll have a first meeting with a client and they'll say, oh, they're so hard. Oh, they did this. Oh, they did that. And I'll say, wow, I love the spirit of this kid. This is a great kid. They're trying so hard to do their best. And I think they're kind of taken aback sometimes, parents, because they're like, oh, wow, I thought you would, think the worst of my kid. Or I thought, you would tell me all the things that I need to do to put the screws to them, as opposed to just really adoring who they are as people. And I think if we can all adopt that mindset shift, just saying like, these are great kids. These hard kids are great kids. They're big feeling kids. They're, sensitive children. They take in their environment, in total, and they notice things, and they do not want to be manipulated. They do not like shame. They do not want to be, told off. They want to be responded to with connection, and they do so well with connection. I see this with our ADHD kids too. Our kids who are diagnosed ODD. It's like, how can you diagnose a little kid ODD? Like, okay, you have a strong will and you're a sensitive kid, and you know who you are, and you don't want to be trampled on, and now you're being diagnosed ODD. I don't know if that's fair. I really don't. I don't know if it's always helpful. But I do think it's helpful to come with connection with all kids. And so these conventional wisdoms, ideas, I think we need to really re-examine them and get them out of our parenting thought at all. It should just not even be part of what we think about parenting. And I think we need to replace it with, our kids are amazing. They really are. Even when they're doing hard things, they really are amazing kids, and they're not doing hard things on purpose. They're doing hard things because they're having a hard time, and we have a unique opportunity to respond to them with connection. And what a beautiful thing we can do. All right. I hope this was helpful. Thanks for joining me on the Peace and Parenting podcast. I would love to see you in our Connected Parent Mastermind. I host those meetings once a month, and my coaches do them the other 3 weeks. And also, I would love to hear from you. If you have a review, please write a review on Apple or leave a rating on one of the other platforms. Thank you so much for being here, and see you next time.